Hi teachers, I hope you are doing great wherever you are despite all of the challenges I'm sure you're facing. Do you feel like going to the US to teach is a mistake? Are you frustrated and you're feeling like nothing you do ever works? Are you contemplating about quitting and just starting over? This video is for you. Do not quit. Here are 12 things I would like to share with you, and hopefully one of these is the answer to what's troubling you at the moment. First, I want you to know that too shall pass. Your glory days will come and you will start enjoying your life as a teacher there, and you will start feeling like you don't want to go home anymore. At this point, this may be difficult to believe, especially when you are new and currently struggling, but we've been through the same phase. I have been there, so I know that you will overcome it as well, and you will rise above this challenge. The second one is to make sure to get a good rest and to have enough sleep. If you're tired and you lack sleep, you'll get irritated easily. You'll be emotional and it would be difficult to think straight. If any of my videos have helped you in some ways, please like, leave a comment, share them, and subscribe. This way I can do more contents like these. We can chat over at my Facebook page as well if you have any questions, so make sure to also like and follow my Facebook page. From here on, I'll be sharing with you things that I actually tried myself and have tested them, and they did work for me, so I'm glad to be able to have this opportunity to share it with you, and hopefully you will also find them effective as you try them. This is the first tip, but this is the third thing that I want you to know. Use your vacant or planning period wisely by being truly productive. Do Facebook, Netflix, or K-drama later during the weekends or when you have already saved enough extra time for leisure. This may sound sad, but I am telling you, this is one of the sacrifices you will have to make during your first year in the US so that the rest of the years for you will be enjoyable. When it is planning period, which is just about 50 minutes, make sure to do as many bell works as possible. You do the bell works during this time since it is the easiest one to do, so you will not feel like it's too tiring to do on a vacant period. There were times when I was able to do a month worth of bell work and presentations good for 2 weeks. Then I only have the quizzes left to do. Why do you have to do this, you may ask? Because by being productive during your planning period, you will be able to tick off things from your to-do list, and each time you save will accumulate until you have so much extra time left on your hand to spend for knowing your students, having time to call home and speak to your students' parents or guardians. You want to know who among your students are kind of falling behind as far as assignments are concerned, so that you can extend help to that student. Building rapport and good relationship with your students and with their parents or guardians are really such big help in reducing behavior problems in your class. When you finally have saved extra days because you have already done the bell works, presentations, worksheets, etc., and homesickness hits you or are just not wanting to do any schoolwork for that day, you wouldn't have to worry about what your students will do the next day or what lesson you will have because you have already done those in advance. This is so important because when times like that come, and they will, you can focus on yourself to give yourself that mental break and just relax, call or chat with your family or friends back home, or do hobbies you enjoy, or just sleep. Really, whatever will help you get your mojos back. You can afford to do that because you have already done the things that you needed to do. You can definitely have your me time and do things you enjoy. A happy teacher creates a happy classroom with happy students. Number 4, train yourself to go to work early. This way you have time to settle down, have breakfast or coffee, whatever works for you. You will also have time to set up things you need for that day. You will be able to stand at the door and greet your students. Also designate a consistent amount of time after school to do school works. Example, After school would be like after your last period. Work productively and efficiently for 3 more hours. This means a focused work, so no social media or movies or chatting, etc. You can do this at home or at school. Really, it is up to you. Just have that time and space for schoolwork for 3 more hours, and that's it. You can forget about schoolwork after that. It requires muscle memory, so you have to be consistent and it will come easily eventually. It is challenging in the beginning, like anything else we do for the first few weeks or months, but if you keep at it, you can even think of a more effective and efficient system. I cannot express enough how much this has changed my school life balance and how it has helped me enjoy life more. Number 5, study the technologies and online tools that your school has that will help you do your work faster and simpler. Coming to the US, I was not familiar with so many things that our school had. I do this during the after school hours. I designated to work on them, also during breaks, etc. But when I learned to use them, it helped a lot with my goal of saving extra days. I had time watching my favorite Netflix series and movies, my K-dramas. I became happier. I was happier because I did not have to check so many papers and do grading manually. Such time savers. Also, my grades were always updated automatically, so my students know what they were still missing, what their current grades were. They do not bother me with their questions about grades and, the usual. Even if they're supposed to know, they would still ask us what they still have not turned in. This might be easy for non-teachers hearing this, but when you have 6 classes with so many kids in each one, and everybody asking you about these things, that could very easily sap all of your energy out. I became one of those teachers whose grades were done a week before they were even due. It made a lot of difference. I also had time to play with my son, to just enjoy family time. Number 6, know the services your school or district has that are related to student discipline. Student discipline is that central concern you will have as a teacher, especially over there. There are students who will really test your patience, stress you out, frustrate you, etc. At our school, for instance, we had a guidance staff who was over consultation. I worked closely with her. We met at least once a month. I gave her a list of students who were challenging in class due to several reasons, but mostly discipline related. I told her about them and presented to her the things that I already tried doing to address the issues myself. This is very important because you don't want to put all the work on the staff. You should be able to show that you already did your part. It's just that they were still not working and you needed extra hands to make things work. You cannot just go to them and complain about these kids when you have not done anything yet. So she put those kids in consultation program where she talks to the students regularly. She also made follow-ups with me and I reported to her any improvements or challenges that still existed with the students. I am telling you, this has done miracles. I will be forever grateful to her for helping me out with those kids. The kids have improved a lot. It gave me more time on the important things such as focusing on doing the lessons instead of constantly calling them their attention or being disrupted by misbehavior. I also made sure that my students know that I truly cared about them and that they can always come to me for extra help with schoolwork. If you have kids who are part of a sports team such as football, which is really big there, you may want to work with their coaches as well. If your school coaches were like the ones that my former school in Orlando had, it would make a great difference as well because, for instance, the football coach at my school wanted to know how his players were performing in our classes, and so he wanted us teachers to email him any concerns we had with the students. who were in his team. I did that for sure, and it was another miraculous thing. So make sure you know what services and assistance are existing at your school and definitely take advantage of them. Number 7, call home. Talk to parents, to guardians about good, not just bad things about their kids. This is really super important. Parents and guardians are your main help with regard to helping your students be on task and just be good students. You really want to work well with parents. If the student is always on his or her phone, for instance, tell the parent how this is affecting the student's participation and grades in the long run. Always make sure to let the parents know that you want to help the students be successful, and their help as parents is going to help you do that. It is important to plan well what you will say and how you will say things to them. I always pray before calling too. Do not forget to document every communication you have with parents, whether it's making those calls or sending emails. Communication trail is very important. You will realize this when it is time to make that final decision on whether or not the student will graduate. You want to have proofs that you did everything you could to help the students and that their parents know. They cannot claim that they were not aware of the student's standing. Number 8, create good working relationship with your colleagues, such as the teachers that are in the same hallway as yours or your co-teachers in the same department. Americans are very helpful as long as you don't eat their time and that you are not being toxic with all of your complaints, if you know what I mean. You can ask them what they do on different situations. Being authentic with your relationships with them is very important. Be true to yourself. Make sure that you also find time to give them something such as help or treats. Nothing too fancy because it will not be good as well. Just anything that will show them that you appreciate them and that you are not always the receiving end. When you have meetings, avoid being the smarty pants or the bida-bida, especially when the meeting is almost done. Everybody's time is precious, and if your question is something too specific for you, you may want to just send an email to the right person. If you think your idea is good, you can share that in a nice way, not in a bida-bida or apple way. Number 9, if it is the weekend, make sure to get a good rest. Recharge, go out and enjoy. You will be surprised where you can get inspirations. So when your friend calls and invites you to watch a movie, go with them. Number 10, eat well and eat enough. Do not skip meals ever. Pack your favorite snack or meal so that you have something warm and delicious to look forward to for lunch. Things like these go a long way. They sound so simple, but they work. You cannot think well if you are starving. You need all the energy you can gain for all of your classes from the first period down to the last. Number 11, whenever there's a long break like during holidays, make sure to allot a day to catch up on schoolworks that have piled up. Also prepare for the first day of class coming back from the holiday. I found that this was the most effective way to avoid dreading going back to school again. I also tried to do these preps on the last day of school before the holiday because that is when I was most energetic, motivated because I was excited for the break. So find whatever works for you. I made sure I already have something to wear. I already have the bell work, presentation, or worksheet, or whatever it is that I needed to do and to have in my class. If you try this, I promise you, you will not be dreading going back to school after the holiday. Here's a tip. Usually the first day of school after a holiday is dragging, and you do not want to give students a quiz or start a new lesson. Make sure to do a fun and engaging activity. Avoid having a lecture day at all costs. Do a review game or end of chapter activity. Just don't do a full-blown lesson. If ever you are tight with schedules so you cannot afford to miss a content day, then plan a fun activity for whatever lesson you need to cover. After doing these preparations, enjoy the holiday, relax and have fun, and forget about school. And here's the last one and the longest one too, but this is very important. Number 12. Remember that not everything is about you, so do not take things personally. That's one of the most important things that I have learned and wish I have learned earlier. If a student answered you back in a disrespectful manner, do not think right away that the student hates you or dislikes you or is being personal toward you for whatever reasons, because they don't. Their world does not revolve around you, meaning they have other concerns that may have triggered such behavior. It's just unfortunate that you have been a dump site. Sorry for lack of words. Also, you must understand that it is their culture to be straightforward. They say what they mean, they say things as they are. They are not being rude, most likely. It's just that you are not used to a student being direct. If they are sleepy and tells you that they are sleepy, that's that. Do not take it like it's your fault he's sleepy. He could just be truly tired. Most of them are working, especially if you're teaching seniors like me. If the whole class is bored or tired, then maybe that's on you. You should make observations like that and take appropriate actions. They can tell you they are bored. They can tell you they will not use what you are teaching in their lives. So would you get hurt because of that? No. You did not create the curriculum, so why would you get hurt? Just do what you can. Making an engaging lesson, making it fun, with enough rigor is your job. You also have to consider what time of day the period is. Is it after lunch? Is it the last period? Well, you better make sure you do this period differently, because everyone's just sleepy and tired at that point. So roll up your sleeves, be extra creative, etc. Do not take home with you the bad things that happened in class. Do not let that student continue to affect you, because that student already forgot about what he or she did, what he or she said. But you continue to sulk, to cry even, so you lose twice, in the classroom and after school. Also remember that being straightforward and being honest with your feelings is not necessarily being rude. They might sound rude to us because they do not use po or opo as they speak. Well, obviously it's not in their culture. Having said these things on your end, make sure to set boundaries. As a teacher, as an adult, you should know these boundaries and rules and enforce them. Be sensitive to teachable moments. Learn how to calm yourself and step back and see the situation in front of you in a better vantage point. I will talk about establishing classroom rules, procedures, expectations, and routines in my next vlog. So make sure to hit that notification bell so that you will know when I have a new video out. Also, I have a vlog about how to deal with fighting in class, because they do happen, and in some schools they do happen a lot. All links are in the description below. Okay, so continuing on, this may be a common thing in the Philippines, but never do this there. You know how we do sermon in classes just because a couple of students were not applying themselves or were being disruptive, etc. This is counterproductive. You are wasting your time and your students' time. This is also not fair. It also undermines the importance of personal accountability. The student has to know why what they did was wrong and that you are not going to allow it to continue to happen. Make sure to remind the student of the rules and expectations you have in class. So instead of admonishing the whole class for the fault of some, make sure to talk to the concerned students one at a time during recess or after school. You can do that. If it took longer such that the student would be late to his or her next class, make sure to write a pass for that student and make sure to email or call their teacher and explain why the student was late. Also, make sure that the classroom door is open as you speak to one student. Also, never touch the student. If the student or students are being truly disrespectful, rude, and are really not backing down, never engage further. You will never win. Also, remember that the rest of the class is watching and some might be waiting for you to make a mistake. So, calm yourself, tell the kid, "We can talk about this later. I really want to listen to you and understand you." Then make sure to do so. You should never let this pass without having a conversation about this with that student. If the student continues to engage and is being hostile, it is time to call the dean. So it is important that you know your school's protocol when it comes to things like these. Make sure you have the admins and the dean's numbers accessible. Never leave your class. Never ask the student to leave your class without an adult escorting that student. If something bad happens to that student, you will be accountable and this might have a legal consequence and you might lose your job. I hope that these things that I shared today are helpful. Remember that you are there for a reason. Do not quit without giving it a good fight. Thank you for watching and I will see you in my next one. Bye!